Welcome to another episode of the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. I'm here on another episode with my guy, Chance Smith, the founder of GoghNow, based here in Charlotte, a technology company that is doing some really cutting edge things. On the first time that we got a chance to meet each other, I was definitely impressed. And if you're watching this, whether it's the live or the recording, stay tuned because there's a lot of different things in regards to his creativity, his level of innovation, and his business savvy, his ability to be savvy in business that is allowing him to create not just a marketplace, but opportunities for so many musicians, not just here in Charlotte, but across the world, to be able to have one thing, the most important thing, and that's access. Chance, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me here today, Kyle. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you so much. So before we get started, it's a question that I like to always ask. I'd love for you to introduce yourself, but introduce yourself in a way that doesn't give any professional or personal titles.
Okay. So again, my name's Chance Smith. Um, I'm somebody who's an innovator, a connector, family man. I value my time and I value my time with others. And I want to create experiences for people that I come in contact with and be able to enable other people to have the same experiences that I've been able to experience in my life.
Mm. I love that, man. When you talk about a connector, what is one thing that you've been either connected to physically or mentally or emotionally that has really been able to enhance how you go about navigating life, whether it's in business or just in life in general?
Um, I would say I've really been connected to just my mind and my body from a health perspective, but also in terms of just spirituality in general, really honing in on who I am. I think being connected to that first and understanding who I am internally has helped me be able to connect externally, whether it's
Mm.
information or connecting with others.
No, I love that, man. One thing that I always say is that before you can become a greater CEO or before you can become a greater husband or anything in life, you have to become a better person, a greater person. And a lot of the things that we aspire to externally, just in life in general, we have to be rooted and clear and stable internally as well. One of the scriptures that I love is that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And when we look at a lot of the things that, even books, secular books, such as The One Thing, when we're trying to do all of these different things and we don't have clarity or stability, or we're not rooted in different things in regards to values, then all of the other things, relationally, financially, emotionally, it seems like it's all over the place. When you feel like life is all over the place, you're an entrepreneur, you have a lot of hats that you wear. What are some techniques or some, I don't know, some strategies that you use to stay balanced and to continue to ensure that you are getting fed internally as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I think I try to become active in times when I feel that. So whether it's going for a walk or just reminding myself on that journey by myself, where I'm talking to myself, where I'm feeding into like positive words of affirmation, and like, "Hey, you can do this. Think about where we're going. Think about this, and think about the other people who are believing in you." So then from there, it kind of musters it back up for me to get to that level or to that point to where I need to be.
Mm. Chance, you're a thought leader, an industry expert, and you're an inspiration for so many people. Articles that I've read about you, and obviously what I've heard about you from mutual colleagues and
Yeah.
contacts that we have. But one thing that I believe that a lot of people don't talk about is the mentor that Jeff Bezos has, the mentor that Bill Gates has, the mentor that Warren Buffett has. Who would you say that has mentored you and has been able to really create a pathway for all of whether the knowledge, the experiences, or the perspective that you have in life as well?
Yeah, I think I've been very fortunate from a mentor standpoint. So I have a few people on the business side of things, but then also from a personal standpoint within my own family. So my grandfather, he was the first black coach when they integrated schools in West Virginia,
Wow.
and his level of access in life and experience, because he's born in 1928, and he's still alive till this day.
Oh wow.
Um, I can have like open, candid conversation with him that really gets me to understand some concepts like that I didn't even understand the least bit before conversating with him
For
or
sure.
conversing with him. And I think that's been like a great mentor in my life, and also my father as well, because he just has that immediate gene from him,
Right.
which
Yeah.
I think those two people, along with some other individuals, other like founder friends, but those two people have really, I think, mentored me a lot and put me in the right direction.
I love that, man. If you had 30 seconds, I don't know, 30 to 60 seconds to really talk to somebody on this call that's listening right now, that's like, wow, but I need a mentor or I need a place to start. If you had 30 seconds to really be that mentor for every single person that is listening to this episode, what are some things that you would communicate to them? Where should they start? What should they do? How should they approach life in the way that you do?
Always be learning. Stay connected to the good people in your life. Remain positive in your approach all the time. Always assume that people are with you until they verbally tell you that they're not with you. Um, and continue to dream.
Mm, I love that. When you think about this dream that is a reality for you now, that you're continuing to build on, where did this dream originate? What's the story behind the dream?
Yeah, so that's funny. It's a few different stories. I'll tell a quick one. My co-founder and I, we met in sixth grade at a basketball camp in our hometown of Roanoke, Virginia, and from there we connected outside of the basketball camp, obviously, and it was around music. So he was learning how to make beats,
Okay.
and we would sit up in that hot room every night when I would like have have sleepovers at his place, and I think we'd stay up till like 4, trying to make these beats and trying to rap and freestyle over it. But everything was just centered around sound. So we were making a lot of different types of music
Mhm.
during that time, and we started an entertainment company in high school, so that was around music as well. And just in college, I had the opportunity to see what the industry was like, being exposed to it through a roommate in college.
Mhm.
And from there, I kind of booked some music, managed artists, and then things started to scale up. But really, I think being around um, other artists and seeing what they were going through and hearing those stories firsthand
Yeah.
was something was like, oh, we have something here. And I knew that we had the ability to create technology, and looking at how people are adopting the technology on a daily basis in today's world, I was like, we can actually do something for these people that doesn't have to be against them. So if you look at musicians in general, it's always been something that's been against them. And then at Go Now, our whole goal is to before the musician. So it's almost like the FUBU model for us by us, but the
Of
same
course.
thing with Go Now. It's like we want to be for the musician.
Why is that important to you though? And not just from a personal standpoint, from a business standpoint, to be for the consumer, and to be able to create things and models that really connect people intentionally.
Yeah, I think it's very important. You have to look at the individuals that you're servicing, and then who's being served. And if you're doing things for the right reasons, it all ends up working out. And so for us, our whole approach was like, I don't want to mess you over, or I don't want to undercut this and cut that corner. I genuinely want to know what's going on so that we can build around what you're experiencing on a daily basis. And it goes back to the creating that level of like equitable access, or just the opportunity for economic development in certain areas. When you look at artists or musicians from a certain standpoint, when you look at income or you look at how much they make, that is something that's not sustainable over time. So around 50% or a little over 50% of musicians have part-time jobs, and
Wow.
that right there is alarming, because I'm saying, well, something that they're passionate about doing, like, hey, we're passionate about entrepreneurship, or we're passionate about business, we get to do this full time. they have to do something else that's taking away their time from their passion. And I was like, no, if we can give this person their time back and allow them to pursue their passion full time, I think this not only makes them better, but it makes the people around them better, which
That's,
makes the community better, and it scales from there.
that's good. You know, if you had one dream chance that was that was fully funded, you know, outside of what you're currently doing, if you had one dream, just one dream, God came down and granted one dream, fully funded everything that you needed to be able to run it, what would you be doing and why is that important to you?
Yes, I I think it would honestly pick up the phone, and just being able to connect people with the right resources. I think a lot of people go through this world every day with like, what do I do next? Or
Exactly.
how do I get here? Why am I in this position? And if I can be that call or that person or that connector that says, hey, all you have to do is this, or let me put you in touch with this person, or hey, let me fill this out for you. And this is what you're going to do next, and be able to just guide them.
Exactly.
I I think that would be the the most unbelievable thing that I'll be blessed to have.
What's your hope for the world, Chance? You know, what's your big idea that you want to be able to share with the world that if it was granted, you'd be able to leave a legacy that was truly meaningful?
For me, I it goes back to the digital space. I just want a world where people are actively learning and actively engaging.
Mm,
Um, if that's happening, then we don't have a connectivity issue, even as far as like the internet in certain places, or we don't
right.
have a connectivity issue amongst different classes of people or demographics. I think people remain connected, and then those connections become more robust the more that we're engaged digitally and we understand and want have the will and the power to want to learn.
Yeah.
Is I think that makes the world a better place because the biases and the ignorance that goes out the window when everyone's at the same level.
Exactly. You know, when you think about levels, and I think about stories, and the different stories in our lives allow us to either enter or pass through different levels within our lives as well, enter and meet new people. When you think about your story, what's been the climax of your story? What was that moment or that time or that circumstance or situation that either shook you up or was the epiphany moment and it clicked there or flipped on the light switch and was like, wow, I should be doing this, or I am this type of person that has this type of possibilities in my life? What was that moment?
Yeah, I think it was a few different moments
Mhm.
possibly. So I think the birth of my daughter was probably one of those times. Um, I think another one is I was having a conversation with individuals that I went to like high school with. I think this is while I was in college. I think I came home for a break. We didn't get many breaks when we were playing basketball in college, but the one break that we did get, I think I was hanging out with a few people, and I just realized that my experiences and the things that I was doing were just not that normal, or like
Mm,
what my college experience was like was a lot different than what my other friends' experience were like. And I didn't view it in a negative way. I just it was like a calling that pretty much told me like, hey, if you don't do this, nobody else will. So like you need to step up and do this. This is for you to do. And I think that that was one that really hit home. And then even when I moved to the city of Charlotte, I was playing basketball Thursday mornings, trying to relive a dream with some guys. And one of my friends, he's a pastor here in the area, and he's able to get the church gym for us. And we were having a conversation after playing, and every time I said something, he was like, "Wow, oh man, really?" And he played same level of basketball that I did, and I was like, man, this is like really telling me that I need to go out here and do something like this.
exactly.
I can't just sit here and do the kind of the same thing every day. Like this is your time is now. So um,
I like that. I like that perspective. Your time is now. One of the things that I live by is that your obedience is attached to somebody else's destiny.
mm,
And if you don't act and if you don't move and if you don't take action and intentional steps towards what you're supposed to be doing, somebody else is sacrificed in their efforts and in their life as well. What was one move that you made that was necessary, but that brought you a lot of discomfort?
Mm, that's a great question. Um, I think I transferred colleges or universities when I was in college, obviously. Um, I went into a meeting with I didn't have the answers walking into the meeting. I walked in with the athletic director of the school, and you have your end of year meeting where you're discussing, hey, we're gonna come back next year and do this, this, and this. And I just walked in there, and something just came over me, and I was like, hey, love the program, love everything that you all are doing. I just don't think this is for me. And I think having that power to walk away is something that I think my dad said it yesterday. We did dinner for my daughter's birthday, and he was like, I don't think anybody's ever like dictated what 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 I was doing. I made that own decision, and I think I came into that meeting the same way,
Mm,
where I was like, "Hey, I need to go do this," and there was no conversation that was had. I just I left
yeah.
politely, and they were like, "Oh, okay." And my mom always tells me a story about when I was, I think, 3 years old. Everybody sucks their thumb or does something,
Mhm.
and she said that I like told her, and I don't know how I was able to tell her, but I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna stop doing this tomorrow." And from that next day, I stopped sucking my thumb. So I've always kind of been like that, where it's like if I say I'm gonna do something or I feel like it's that time, then it's my time to make that tough decision and go for it.
I like that, and I think a lot of people can learn from that as well. And I
Yeah.
think there's when we're operating in our calling and in our purpose, we're met with a lot of controversy or adversity as well. Could you talk to people a little bit about when you've made those moves and made those decisions, how you've navigated the obstacles and adversities that have come with it as well?
Yeah, I think a lot of reading was was going on during this time, and not necessarily even books, but just articles and information that were reminding me of like why change is good or why making a move is powerful. And where you look at these leaders that are in the world where they make a decision, you look at like Martin Luther King, or you look at like Malcolm X, or you look at other world leaders, and they make these decisions that maybe not all the people are on board with.
Yeah,
But then when it's all said and done, they're like, that was the best thing that happened.
exactly.
And I felt that same way when I was going through that adversity or going through those challenges. Like, hey, this is what all leaders do. So like
Exactly.
this is nothing new. And I was looking at a lot of like magazines, articles, interviews. I think that helped a lot with that process.
When you think about certain books that you've read that have really allowed you to grow mentally, emotionally in business, what are some books that you would recommend to people that can get them started on this journey and where they are?
Yeah, I actually have one of the books right here. One is First Break All the Rules.
Okay.
Um, and that's by I'm looking at it right here. Yeah, Marcus Buckingham.
Okay.
Great book. It kind of goes along with what what we're talking about now. And then Atomic Habits.
I love that by James
That's
Clear.
yes. I think all business individuals need to look at that book. It just instills so much in you, and then it reminds you of the things that you're doing and like that you're on the right path too.
Exactly.
Um,
When you think about, kind of expanding on the point of atomic habits in that book, it's if you if anybody adopted all of those specific strategies in their life, I really would love to meet that specific person and see what their life was. It kind of reminds me of David Goggins. He probably has that type of regiment in his life. But when you think about your life on a daily basis, what does the life of a founder look like on a daily basis? What are your routines? Or your different things that you have to accomplish, throughout your weeks that are helping you grow this vision.
it's wild. That's the one 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 word I can use. It is very wild. But yeah, I think my days though. I get up, I try to stretch, um, do some reading early in the morning, and I try to watch like an interview or two, more of like a motivational, just like a gym, and it
Hmm.
could be for 2 minutes, it could be for 3 minutes. Doesn't have to be a long interview. Sometimes I work out in the morning, sometimes I work out at lunchtime. It's just different times whenever I can really get that workout in.
Yeah.
But from there, really just set my goals on what I want to achieve for it before the end of the day. So that looks like maybe a call with our team. Looks like a check in with my co-founder as well on like, hey, this is where we're at and moving forward. And then that day could be travel, it could be meetings, and it could be calls. It could be a lot of work that's behind the scenes too. So you could be doing financial projections. Like we just got off of a call, we're doing a lot of like financial modeling and
Yeah.
talking about that with our team, or looking at analytics or doing assessments of certain things.
Yeah.
But those things go into the evening. And a lot of the times, what I try to do is I try to make one connection a day. So I set a goal for myself. This was maybe like 3 years ago. I was like, I need to make one connection a day.
Hmm.
Um, and that doesn't have to do with business. It could do with business, but I think making one connection a day has allowed me to just grow my network in some form. And that's really kind of what my day entails. So
That's interesting. I want you to expand a little bit more about that one connection a day. How do you go about doing that? I know there's somebody listening in right now that's like, how does he do that? Does he just go somewhere? Is he using a system? Is he using LinkedIn? How do you go about doing
yeah, no system involved at all.
that?
uh, but yeah, I try to get out of the house, and then also picking up the phone. I think that's something that's old school to think about that when we were in probably middle school,
Yeah.
or when people start getting that first cell phone. And you have it's nothing like making that cold call to a house phone and say, "Hey, can I speak to John, or can I speak to Emily? Can I speak to somebody?" And their mom or their grandmother or their dad is like, they can't speak right now. Who is this? And you got to explain yourself. uh, so I just think picking up the phone to a lot of people appreciate it. I try to do that, whether it's calling an old connection and then you just updating them on life, or honestly just asking them questions on what they're doing.
Hmm.
That will cause you to actually make a connection with somebody, or to reconnect with someone that you hadn't talked to in a while, or to reach out to that person. So
That's,
I think that is where like the phone is good, emails are good, but also getting out in person. I'm a huge advocate of that.
mhm.
And I know people talk down on social media a lot, but I mean you could use that as a tool. I use social media. I send messages to people that I connect with, or might be a random follow. And I send them a message, and like next thing you know, we're in the same city going out for lunch or going out for
Yeah.
dinner. So
No, I love that. Chance, if your story, um, and all of the different things that you've experienced and shared even in today, if your story was broken into lessons, what would be the first lesson that you would teach?
patience.
Hmm.
And I still need to teach. I would be learning as I was teaching. Um, that is key, because through patience you learn so much. So I have a friend. He just had throat surgery, I believe, and he said that he couldn't speak for, was it five? I think it was 5 or 10 days. Don't quote me on that. But he said he learned so much within that time. Of like, man, I was responding back too fast to these questions. I wasn't listening enough. He said there were so many other things that he learned during that time, and he understand like, hey, I just need to listen to people and just be patient. And even with my own self, was like I may speed up myself talking to myself internally,
Hmm.
and I may go do something that maybe is not needed at that time. But practicing patience is something that like would be key. It would be the first thing that I will learn, and probably spend a 9 week course, if not longer than that, on just that topic.
No, I love that. Patience is definitely necessary, especially, being fathers as well.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the number one characteristics or qualities that a lot of people, whether you're in business or not, need to be able to learn. Chance, if you had a microphone and you were to give a message to the whole world, um, something that you would share that would pierce the hearts of all individuals and they would be able to take it with them the rest of their life, what would you communicate to them?
That's a great question. I would say that, oof, loving your neighbor or loving your family member is something that you can do and you can pass on to others.
Mm.
Um, we read a statistic the other day that said something like 70% of people like hate their neighbors. Um, and I
Wow.
was like, that's that's crazy to me because if you just show love, and that's you can show love without being physically connected. You can show love by saying hey, or hey
Yeah.
man, how you doing, or just a wave, or a thumbs up, or just a head nod. And if we could show that kind of love every day to people,
Mm.
I think that's something that really starts to change how we are as people.
I love that, man. I think that there needs to be a world with more love, and more compassion, more empathy for the individuals that are in our lives, whether directly connected or indirectly connected. Chance, you're doing some phenomenal things. If you could accomplish one thing within the next 6 to 12 months, what does success look like with Go Now?
Yeah, for us, it looks like doubling the amount of communities that we're in. It looks like more business partnerships, um, and that's in the public space. So right now we're doing some work with some urban planning groups, commercial real estate, also different communities. Our whole focus and bread and butter with Go Now is in the consumer market. We want to give the individual consumers access to live music to enhance their casual get-togethers or events. That's happening on a daily basis, and if people can just experience this once, we've seen the return on it, and we witnessed the referrals amongst that. So when if it's five of us getting together and we have somebody that's coming in playing the keyboard, we're like, man, that was awesome. I need to tell my friends. I need to show my friends. I need to tell my family members. We have to do this again.
Yeah,
And I think that's a gift that we can share. I think sound is a language that words can't tell. So um, we want to be able to get there. And I think for us, if we can do that, we'll do all the things we need to do from a business perspective, gain market share, grow demand for what we're actually doing, brand awareness. All of those things come if we establish that.
I love that. Chance, where can we find you? How can we support you online?
Yeah. So our business online is at GoNow. It's GoGhNow. That's on Instagram. That's on Facebook. It's on LinkedIn as well. And then me personally, my LinkedIn is under my name is Chance A Smith. Um, on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram as well. So Chance.A Smith, I believe. It's on Instagram, but yeah, and then Go Now as well. Our website is www.gonow.com. We have on the site right now where it's available for pre-launch access. We're getting ready to launch some technology around um, this cool music concept as far as bringing musicians directly to your space. But it's an opportunity for users to sign up now to get early access and also musicians right now. So we're in a good position and really looking to democratize the space and give everyone access to use Go Now.
Chance, we appreciate you so much. Anybody listening right now, one thing that he communicated today is take action. um, Wherever you are in your journey, you have to be able to take action, because if you don't take action, who is sacrificed? Chance has taken action by trusting in his vision, by being able to make those necessary connections, but also practicing patience. And even though he's still learning that, as all of us are still learning that, he's been able to leverage his education, his resources, and his relationships to be able to transform not only his own life, but the lives of so many other people. Chance, we appreciate you coming on another episode of the Writers Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. And we will see you guys next episode.